she was prelingually deaf, and myself and my husband didn't really know anything about communicating with a deaf child. So we're having a tough time right now, and I was wondering if you could give us some tips on successfully raising her.
Okay, yes. First, let's talk about raising Samantha. You need to know what your options are. Also, setting goals is very important. I cannot stress that enough. There are many different choices that can help you meet those goals. Finding out what choice is best for you and your daughter and family is the key.
Can you please tell me some specific options that I might have?
Yes. Now, some people are going to encourage your family to go out and get speech training, hearing aids, or even a cochlear implant. Now, I know what you're probably thinking, great, I'm going to have to learn a new language for my child. This is why the decision should be made as a whole family. It doesn't matter what type of communication your child uses, they need to know that they have your support. This assurance is the best support that your deaf child can receive. Now, not all children learn the same, whether hearing or deaf, so the key is not to force your child to learn a specific method. An excellent source for looking at different methods can be found in Gallaudet, a well-known school for the deaf in Connecticut, because they work with children just like Samantha and families like yourself. And I will tell you that 90% of deaf children are born to hearing parents, so you're not alone.
Oh, wow. Well, how do I decide what's the best communication to use for my child so young and she's completely deaf?
Well, like I said, each child's hearing loss is different. You need to get help from family and friends when making decisions. Working with professionals such as ENTs, speech pathologists, audiologists, and pediatricians can be very beneficial. I must say it's good that screening has already been done because Samantha is more likely to acquire language this way.
Oh, good. Well, I'm worried that teaching my child sign language, because my husband and I have never been around such communication, would it even be worth trying to teach her this method?
Well, Gallaudet research shows that having children learn sign language at such an early age will not impede them from learning another language later on. The critical period to do this is between birth and 3 years of age, so it is the perfect time to start teaching Samantha that method. Also, working with professionals that help your family and daughter can make learning sign language together easier.
Okay. Well, I've heard that there are different types of signing. Is that true? And will it create confusion?
Well, there are a few different types. First, there's cued speech. This was invented at Gallaudet, and it uses 8 different hand shapes and 4 different locations near the mouth to create speech reading. Now, you will learn the cues like learning signs. One benefit is that it can be learned in a short time, both for the child and the family. It has positive effects for literacy, better auditory discrimination, and better communication and discipline. The downfall for this method, however, is that not many people use it.
Okay. Well, if I feel that we might need something else then.
Okay. Well, there's a system called Manual Codes for English, often known as MCE. It represents spoken English with sign codes. Also, there's Signing Exact English, SEE. That's another way of signing. With this, a lot of signs are borrowed from ASL, but Exact English is signed to understand correct English. ASL, another option, American Sign Language, is the most popular option. It is well suited for the eyes, and it's known as a language for the deaf, and it's also a visual gesture language. The advantages are better social cues and better behaviors in children.
Well, I'm still not sure about using sign language. Is there any other methods that can be used in communication?
Well, there are some. The oral method is available, which is becoming more popular. It uses words towards spoken language, and it doesn't use sign at all. It's focused on speech and speech reading, and it involves placing your child in a mainstream school environment. The key to this method is early intervention, so this may be a good option for your family and Samantha. Another method is the bicultural bilingual method, known as the Bye-Bye method. It uses American Sign Language for communication through the air, and then it uses English for reading and writing. A drawback for this method is that it's only offered in residential schools. Another option would be the total communication method. It borrows from many different methods, such as signing, pictures, and reading can be used, and then any other type of communication that can help the child learn. With this method, the child is encouraged to work on speech, reading, and listening skills. It does provide a safety net for children that have trouble following English. However, it does limit the child's language skills because they really don't become fluent in a specific language.
Wow. Well, there's so many options available. This is definitely going to be a tough decision. Now, after we choose the language method, where would Samantha go to school?
Well, as with the communication options, there's also many different education settings available. Are you want Samantha to be around other deaf students or with hearing students in a mainstream environment?
I'm really not sure. I know I do not want her to feel isolated from her peers, but at the same time, I feel like if she was in a public setting, she would not have a normal social life because she can't hear. Could you explain some more about each setting option?
Of course, that's why I'm here. I know making such important decisions for your child is nothing to joke around about. There are preschool options available that work with early intervention in preparing deaf children with language development and communication skills that will be needed when starting kindergarten. Now, when that time comes, if you're looking into Samantha being around other deaf children, I would look into a residential school. This type of learning environment allows students to have the ability to interact with other deaf students in extracurricular environments with deaf role models. Now, the children are exposed to the deaf culture and American Sign Language with this. The disadvantage, however, is this environment, the parents are usually not comfortable with the idea of sending their child off away from their home life. Also, the quality of education will vary from school to school. There are not many residential schools available anymore.
Ms. Brown, I don't mean to be rude, but sending my child away is definitely not going to be an option. What else can I choose?
Okay, well, there are more. Many families feel the same way that you do. There are also oral and sign day schools available. The students here would have a mixture of mainstream and then residential settings. Samantha would have specially trained staff available to help her with education. These types of schools are usually only offered in the metropolitan area, though. Another option would be education in a mainstream setting with inclusion. She would be able to go to regular classes with regular curriculum and have a special education resource class as well. She would also be able to have note takers, interpreters, and then translators if the school is available to offer those types of services. Now, there's a great opportunity to interact with hearing peers with this type of education. Parents do need to be aware, though, that academic achievement is usually lower for deaf children in this type of setting.
Well, that may be an option, but it would be a struggle to find a school system that provides such services. Is there a way that she could go to a mainstream school but be in a classroom with other deaf and hard of hearing students?
Yes, ma'am, Ms. Fawkes. This is known as the self-contained classroom. Teachers are specially trained, and then all students and the teacher will use the same type of communication. Samantha will be able to go to school near home, but she would not have access to as many other school activities with this type of method.
Okay. So there's not a way that my husband and myself could homeschool Samantha?
Well, ma'am, I'm not going to lie to you. This is an option, but I feel that children suffer greatly socially with this type of setting. However, it has been shown that with this type of learning, students are able to receive one-on-one attention. They can work at their own pace, and then teaching is adapted to the child's learning needs. Parents also get to choose what type of communication is going to be used.
Well, that doesn't seem so bad.
Well, as you can see, there are many different options for communication and education, and then Samantha may benefit from one type versus something else. Do you have any other questions about that?
No, I'm so thankful to have spoken with you about this. This would have been a decision to take some time, and I'll keep in touch with you with the decision that we decide to make.
Okay, that sounds wonderful. If you need anything else, don't hesitate to call me or send me an email, and I hope you have a wonderful day, Ms. Fawkes.
Thank you. It was great meeting you.
You too.